Welcome to another episode of Cooking with Sturf. And sometimes I get a question. They say, Sturf, what sort of protein shakes do you do? I'll tell you what kind of protein shakes I do. I do raw kefir with raw eggs. And now you're all wait, hold up. Raw milk, raw kefir, isn't that bad for you? What about the pasteurization process? Well, the pasteurization process has been around for about 100 years. Now, why did this come into being? This came into being based off of these things called swill mills. So back in, before the 1900s, everybody drank raw milk, and no one was dying from it. However, there was a lot of propaganda to make the case that raw milk was killing children, specifically in New York City. Now, at the time of the turn of the century, these whiskey breweries, they had all this waste product known as, I think it was called swill or something of that nature. Basically what it was the trash from whiskey. This was a huge waste product. It was from grains. Grains, when you distill the grains and you make whiskey, you have all this waste. So instead of wasting it, what they decided to do was feed cows it. So then they put these cows underneath these whiskey breweries in New York City and other cities. And what they started to do is, instead of throwing out the waste, they fed it to the cows. Now the cows were in feedlots underneath a distillery in New York City in sweltering heat, terrible conditions. They were sitting in their own filth, and their milk was toxic. Their milk had all sorts of diseases in it, and it made people sick. It killed children. Before this, milk had been found only from grass-fed cows in the plains and small farms, but this all changed in about 1930s or 1920s when these whiskey breweries began. Now we're having a resurgence and understanding of what raw milk is, how powerful it is, how the digestive enzymes, and not just digestive enzymes, these life-giving enzymes like lactoferrin, lactoperoxidase, they have fantastic immune properties. They're antimicrobial. Fascinating, right? How lactoferrin, which is a enzyme that's only found in raw milk, has the ability to destroy iron-loving bacteria. So there's bacteria that feed off of iron. So what lactoferrin does, lactoferrin draws iron out of these bacteria and put it into your own blood. This is why a child who's fed raw milk, or breast milk for example, would never be iron deficient. But the moment you feed a child a pasteurized milk diet, it is well known in school, we all learn this in medical training, that such a child would be an iron deficient child. This is not the case with the child fed raw milk from the breast milk of the human or the cow. Now you may also be wondering, what about the raw eggs? Isn't that dangerous? Well, these raw eggs are straight from my yard. The only way they're going to be toxic is if I throw the whole eggshell in there. Yeah, so these come out of my chicken's butts, and that's where it comes out of. Same place that everything else comes out of. So yeah, if you're not careful, I guess you could drop a salmonella-covered eggshell in there and you could drink it raw. But I'm pretty good at this, hasn't happened yet, so for me, raw egg in my raw milk is the best thing for me. Now, if this is not palatable enough to you, you could put a little bit of maple syrup in there, but this kefir is pretty tasty already. This is kind of a nighttime snack for me right here, being a bit decadent. So I hope you enjoyed that little history lesson, and thank you for joining me in this episode of Cooking with Sturf. That's my protein shake for you.